Okay. Right. So as I told you, as the name itself suggests, this is the decision tree approach. Or decision tree approach is an approach through which you can determine these horizontal and vertical splits on the data which we have just seen. कि आपने कहाँ पे जाके जो है ये vertical split लगानी है और horizontal split लगानी है. Yeah, and if you can realize that once you have determined those splits, you can represent the data in the form of a tree. Okay, and for example वो theorists वाला जो data था उसमें we can start with okay, so we can start with a node. We can say that okay, this node is on the number of formulas. Okay, so we can say that if the number of formulas are less than 20 or the number of formulas are between 20 to 60, okay, that is another branch. And then you can have the third branch जिसमें number of formulas are greater than 60, right? So from that classification, if the number of formulas are less than 20, that was a circle class, I guess. Okay, or we can like that was theorists or experimentalists. ठीक है जो भी so let's just call it class 1. So that was class 1. So we can label it at class 1. If the number of formulas are, let's say, greater than 60, then that's class 2. But if the number of formulas are between 20 and 60, you cannot really determine कि ये class 1 है ये class 2 है. Then you have to have another node here. And और ये node क्या होगा? Number of slides का. So if the number of slides are less than 40, ठीक है, then it's class 1 or class 2, ठीक है. And if otherwise, if the number of slides are greater than 40 or equal to 40, तो फिर ये class 1, ठीक है. So we have represented those splits in the form of a tree here, ठीक है. And this tree is what you call as a decision tree, ठीक. There are algorithms available that would automatically develop this decision tree for you. And now we'll study one of those algorithms, and that algorithm is what one of the most common algorithms is called ID3 algorithm. Okay, but before we move on to that, a standard decision tree would consist of two types of nodes: terminal nodes and the decision nodes. Okay, just to start with, a decision node, so you will have some root node primarily, okay, or some starting node. This starting node um, would relate to some parameter, ठीक है. For example, number of formulas के ऊपर आप split कर रहे हैं, so you will start with some node, ठीक है. And then the intermediate nodes, all intermediate nodes are the decision nodes in this case, in case of a decision tree. And the leaf nodes, they are also known as the terminal nodes. Every terminal node is a node that determines the class. So here you have a decision node. A decision node relates to a variable that you have or a feature set that would help on which you want to determine variable या feature जिसको आपने split करना. ठीक है. रिमेंबर नंबर ऑफ फॉर्मूलाज को आपने 3 ब्रांचेस में स्प्लिट किया, फिर स्लाइड्स को आपने 2 ब्रांचेस में स्प्लिट किया. So the node that was labeled as the number of formulas and the number of slides, that node is what you call as a decision node. लेकिन फाइनल नोड पे जाके जहाँ पे आपने क्लास 1 और क्लास 2 लिखा, that is what you call as the terminal node. ठीक है, you cannot further divide, or you don't want to divide, and you can't really divide the terminal node further into sub nodes, या उसके चिल्ड्रन आप डिटर्मिन नहीं कर सकते. सो जिस नोड के आप चिल्ड्रन डिटर्मिन नहीं कर सकते, दैट्स द नोड विच डिटर्मिन्स द क्लास. ठीक है, so the example here is that A is a decision node, and then you divide A or branch out A into two different directions based on some split. ठीक है, आपने इस नोड को स्प्लिट किया. दैट मीन्स कि इस नोड this node is representing, A node is representing a variable or a feature, and you have divided it into, or you have split it into multiple sub nodes. और अगर आपने लेट्स से कि इस डिसीजन नोड A को जब मैंने स्प्लिट किया है, I've divided into B and C, or B and C are primarily representing the labels of my class. ठीक है, so if A follows this, then it's this class. If A follows this, then this is this class. ठीक है, so class को determine आप कर सकते हैं at every terminal node, or at every decision node you divide or you find out a split. ठीक है, so this is what a standard decision tree would look like. Now if you have any question on this arrangement, you can ask me now before we move on. Is this nomenclature clear, or is this sample decision tree structure clear? Okay, Taimur का question ये है कि is it necessary that each branching only leads to no. This is not necessary, Taimur. If you remember पिछले केस के अंदर जिसमें number of formulas को हमने divide किया था, we divided it into 3 branches: less than 20, greater than 60, between 20 and 60. ठीक है, so it's not necessary. कुछ नोड्स जो हैं वो 2 में डिवाइड होंगे, कुछ नोड्स जो हैं वो 3 में डिवाइड हो सकते हैं, कुछ नोड्स इससे ज्यादा स्प्लिट्स के अंदर भी डिवाइड हो सकते हैं, राइट? सो इट्स नॉट रियली नेसेसरी. ओके, so that's the same thing which I've just explained you. Decision node splits, leaf node or terminal node is the deciding node. You can't really divide it. A branch, a sub branch of your decision tree would consist of a subsection of your data set, okay, that you have got. A decision tree is always a parent node, and the terminal node obviously would always be a child node. A decision node can have another decision node as its child. Okay? For example, here you can see this decision node here has another decision node which is the child of this decision node. Okay? So one of the algorithms that determines this these splits, कि किस वेरिएबल को स्प्लिट करना है और कौन सा वेरिएबल पहले आना चाहिए और कौन सा वेरिएबल बाद में आना चाहिए, we apply an algorithm which is called an ID3 algorithm. ठीक है, and I'll just give you the basic steps of this algorithm first, and then we'll solve or apply it with the help of an example. The first step is that you collect from your data which is given to you. And remember पिछले example में you were given a table, और उसमें जो data था, that data was consisting of 2 variables or 2 parameters or 2 features, number of formulas and number of slides. So your original set would consist of these 2 variables. Similarly, if you have another problem where the number of variables could increase, your original set would contain all those variables which are present in the data set. Okay. And at your root node, you will have to choose one of those variables. किसको choose करना है? You don't really know. ठीक है, at present. The algorithm doesn't know कि रूट नोड के ऊपर मेरा कौन सा वेरिएबल आएगा. जैसे जो मैंने डिसीजन ट्री पहले ड्रॉ किया था उसमें नंबर ऑफ फॉर्मूलाज को मैंने रूट पे रखा, तो मैं नंबर ऑफ स्लाइड्स को भी रूट पे रख सकता हूँ. ठीक है, दैट्स ऑल्सो पॉसिबिलिटी. ठीक है, एंड दैट्स एक्चुअली अ डिसीजन दैट यू हैव टू मेक कि क्या नंबर ऑफ स्लाइड्स के ऊपर मैंने पहले स्प्लिट निकालना है या नंबर ऑफ फॉर्मूलाज के ऊपर मैंने स्प्लिट पहले निकालना है. Now every time when I change the variable that is present at my root node, the decision tree that follows may change. You don't have a unique solution in this particular case. Okay? You may have multiple representations of the solution. Okay? For the same solution, you may have multiple decision trees. So you start with a set of all possible variables that you have in your data set, and you write or you assume इनमें से कोई एक जो है ना वो आपके रूट नोड पे आएगा. Then what's the next step? The next step is that you apply an algorithm, and that algorithm employs calculating 2 things: the entropy of a variable and the information gain of that variable. ठीक है, entropy of a variable or information gain of a variable. What do you mean by entropy of a variable and what do you mean by information gain of a variable? Again, that's what we are doing at the root node. हमने root node पे ये decide करना है कि कौन सा variable आना है, right? तो उसके लिए in my original set, the set of all the variables that I've got, I'll calculate the entropy for every variable. And what do we mean by entropy? ठीक है, physics में आपने entropy पढ़ी होगी या आपने हो सकता है मैथ्स में भी entropy पढ़ी हो. So what is entropy, by the way? यहाँ पे भी आपने स्टडी किया है. So what do you mean by entropy? We'll come to information gain later on. G. So how many of you actually are aware of this concept of entropy? Let me just ask someone. Maz?
जी सर, बट फिजिक्स के उसमें कॉन्टेक्स्ट में थोड़ा बहुत आइडिया है.
Can you explain?
I think it was the amount of randomness in a system.
Exactly, the amount of randomness in the system, right? That is what entropy is. So here we find out entropy, or entropy in our context would be whether, and this is not a mathematical definition, this is a conceptual definition that I'll be giving here, and then we can convert it into some sort of a mathematics. An entropy would mean, an entropy of a variable would mean that by knowing a certain variable or by knowing a value of a certain variable, whether we are able to separate out the class labels correctly or not, right? Okay. Ji Abdullah.
Sir, इस definition लिखा हुआ है, it iterates through the very unused attribute of set S. तो ये very unused attribute का क्या मतलब है, मैं समझा नहीं.
जी, I'll just tell you. Okay, very unused attribute का मतलब ये है कि, and this is an iteration, remember, on each iteration, so you actually have to repeat this step. So first of all what you'll do is कि you have an original set S जिसमें let's say 3 वेरिएबल्स पड़े हुए, या हम वही एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं जिसमें नंबर ऑफ फॉर्मूलाज और नंबर ऑफ स्लाइड्स पड़े हुए। आपने क्या करना है कि उसमें से एक वेरिएबल उठाना है, फॉर एग्जांपल नंबर ऑफ फॉर्मूलाज उठाना है और उसकी इंट्रॉपी निकालनी, और फिर नंबर ऑफ स्लाइड्स निकालनी और उसकी इंट्रॉपी निकालनी, ठीक है। और आपने उनमें से एक वेरिएबल को चूज कर लेना है टू बी एट योर रूट नोड। क्लियर? सो वंस यू हैव चोजन लेट्स से द नंबर ऑफ फॉर्मूलाज, तो अब उसकी सब ब्रांच के ऊपर नंबर ऑफ फॉर्मूलाज दोबारा नहीं आएंगे। सो इफ यू हैव यूज्ड नंबर ऑफ फॉर्मूलाज वंस, then the unused variable would be the number of slides. So second decision node under the number of formulas that would come should not be the one that you have already used before that. I hope this is clear.
Yes, sir, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay. So now the question is कि entropy का concept यहाँ पे क्या है? Entropy का concept क्या है? अच्छा, if let's say I have, let's say कि मैं formulas की बात कर लेता हूँ कि if I've got the number of formulas, ठीक है, here, और एक मेरे पास split आई थी less than 20 की, the other split was greater than 60, and then you had a third split that was between 20 and 60. Now if you remember those graphs, तो इस branch के ऊपर was it a mix of two classes or was it a single class of number of formulas less than 20 के ऊपर? Was it a single class or a mix of class present underneath this particular link? यानी कितनी ऐसी presentations थी जिसके अंदर less than 20 formulas were used and they were theorists and experimentalists. Okay. Now if you remember that, okay, so I'll just open that slide so that you can actually clearly see that. I'll just show you that in a while. Okay. So that you find it easy to understand that. Sorry. Okay. I'll just open those slides in a while. Yeah. Okay. So I hope you can see this now. Okay, so this was the first split. Okay, so that's like the leftmost branch. So the node that you have selected is the number of formulas. Okay. So अगर मैंने ये split लगाई है यहाँ पे, so what is on the left hand side of this split? On the left side of this split here, you have got only one class. ठीक है? you've only got one class here, and that class is of experimentalists, right? So on the left hand side you have got the class, and on the right hand side you have also got a class, but on this side you have only got a single class. And on this side of the split you have got a mix of these two classes. Okay. A mix of multiple classes, if I relate it to the randomness present or the unorderliness present in my data set, then on the left side of this split, I have only got one class, that is of experimentalists. That means that given this data set, I can easily determine whether a presentation belongs to an experimentalist or not if the number of slides, if the number of formulas are less than 20. Right? So the disorder or randomness or disorder that is present in this region, that is lower than the randomness which is present on this region, in this region. Why? क्योंकि यहाँ पे आप दोनों classes को distinguish नहीं कर पा रहे because of this split. You have a mix. You have got 5 instances of one class and 3 instances of another class present in this region, which is of number of formulas greater than 20. Okay? So that means that if a mix is representing a disorder in the system, then the disorder on this side is lower, the disorder on this side is higher. I hope this is clear. What do I mean by disorder? A disorder would mean that whether a split contains or an interval contains a mix of a class or a single class. If it contains a mix of a class, then the disorder will be there. And if it only contains a single class, then there will not be any disorder present in that particular split. So अगर इसमें मैं determine करता हूँ इस split का, so the interval from 0 to 20, that is this interval, does not contain any disorder क्योंकि एक ही class है इस तरफ. Whereas the disorder is present on this side. And what is the level of that disorder? The level of that disorder could be determined by how many instances of those classes are present. ठीक है? So let's say कि मेरे पास एक data set है, ठीक है? And यहाँ पे मैंने determine किया है, I've got let's say class 1 के instances यहाँ पे मेरे पास जो हैं इस side पे 5 instances present, और class 2 के भी मेरे पास कुछ instances इस side के ऊपर present है. Let's say I've got 2 instances of class 2. And on the right hand side, मेरे पास class 1 के instances 5 हैं और class 2 के instances जो हैं वो भी 5 हैं. So can anyone tell me कि इस region का disorder ज़्यादा होगा या इस region का disorder ज़्यादा होगा? So let's say कि region A है ये, and this is region B, और interval A and interval B. So interval A का disorder ज़्यादा है या interval B का disorder ज़्यादा है? Interval A का disorder ज़्यादा है. Moaz is saying कि interval A का disorder ज़्यादा है. Why is that?
Sir, because इसमें दो classes हैं, there's a mix of classes, class 2 and class 5, whereas in B there's only one class.
नहीं. C1 and C2 are the two classes. So what I'm saying here is कि C1 के 5 instances इस region में हैं और C2 के 2 instances इस region में हैं. So there are total 7 instances in this region, right? और उन 7 में से 5 एक class को belong कर रहे हैं और 2 एक क्लास को बिलोंग कर रहे हैं, और बी रीजन के अंदर यू अगेन हैव क्लास C1 एंड C2, लेकिन क्लास C1 के 5 इंस्टेंसेस हैं और क्लास C2 के भी 5 इंस्टेंसेस।
I guess it's because of the number of instances then.
जी, इट्स बिकॉज ऑफ द नंबर ऑफ इंस्टेंसेस। लेकिन किस रीजन के अंदर डिटरमिन करना, अच्छा किस रीजन के अंदर डिटरमिन करना कि ये क्लास 1 है या क्लास 2 है, ज्यादा मुश्किल है। आई मीन इन प्रोबेबिलिटी टर्म्स आप देखें, इन प्रोबेबिलिटी टर्म्स देखें कि व्हाट इज द प्रोबेबिलिटी दैट एन इंस्टेंस इन रीजन ए और इन इंटरवल ए बिलोंग्स टू क्लास C1।
5/7.
5/7। और इसी की प्रोबेबिलिटी अगर मैं रीजन बी में निकालूं क्लास 1 की,
That would be 1/2. 1/2.
1/2 इज 0.5। ठीक है, so the probability of determining a class in region B is 0.5, whereas the probability of determining a class in region A or interval A for class C1 is higher compared to class C2, because C1 के ज्यादा instances वहां पे मौजूद हैं, right? So on one side you have a probability of 0.5 and on another side you have a probability of one class greater than 0.5 and of the other class less than 0.5. That means कि A के अंदर there is one class that is dominating और B के अंदर no class is dominating. Right? Is this clear? So a region or an interval जिसमें कोई class dominate नहीं कर रही, ठीक है? For example, B, no class is dominating here. If there is no class dominating in a region, then that region, we can call that region a region with highest entropy or a region with the highest disorder. Okay, so the disorder in A is relatively lower compared to the disorder in B. Kyun? Based on simple probabilistic reasons. Okay, the probability of class 1 in A is higher compared to the probability of class C2. So there is one dominating class here, right? And on the other side, there is no dominating class. Is this distinction clear? Okay. So anyone else? Is this clear? कि disorder और disorder को मैं entropy भी कह सकता हूँ. तो entropy in B ज्यादा क्यों है compared to entropy in A? जी अब्दुल्ला.
वो पहले का हैंड रेज्ड हुआ।
अच्छा, नहीं, आई होप दिस इज क्लियर कि ए में ए की जो डिसऑर्डर या एंट्रोपी दोनों को आप इंटरचेंजेबली यूज कर सकते हैं कि ए की एंट्रोपी कम क्यों है कंपेयर टू बी। जी,
लेकिन सर अगर हमने C1 से कंपेयर किया कि
C2 से
C1 के अंदर
C2 से भी
C2 से
ठीक है ना, C2
सर
डोमिनेट।
उससे
हाँ हाँ बोले।
उससे उल्टा रिजल्ट नहीं आएगा क्योंकि C2 डोमिनेट B के अंदर कर रहा है।
हाँ बिल्कुल ठीक है, और लेकिन वो डोमिनेट कोई एक क्लास भी अगर डोमिनेट कर रही है तो इसका मतलब अगर एक क्लास डोमिनेट कर रही है तो दूसरी डोमिनेट नहीं करेगी। दिस इज अ जीरो सम सिचुएशन, ठीक है। तो रीजन ए के अंदर कोई भी क्लास डोमिनेट कर रही हो, चाहे C2 डोमिनेट कर रही हो या C1 डोमिनेट कर रही हो, अगर कोई क्लास डोमिनेट कर रही है तो उस इंटरवल के अंदर डिसऑर्डर कम होगा। ठीक है। और
हम्म,
जिसमें कोई भी क्लास डोमिनेट नहीं कर रही, इसका मतलब डिसीजन करने में आपको सबसे ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम होगी उस रीजन के अंदर जहां पे कोई भी क्लास डोमिनेट नहीं कर रही, ठीक है ना। सो दिस इज जस्ट लाइक दिस, दैट यू एंटर इनटू अ क्लासरूम, जिस क्लासरूम के अंदर ज्यादातर सोफोमोर स्टूडेंट्स हैं और कुछ थर्ड ईयर स्टूडेंट या जूनियर स्टूडेंट्स भी बैठे हुए हैं, ठीक है। सो व्हाट इज द प्रोबेबिलिटी दैट अ पर्सन दैट वुड एंटर इनटू दैट क्लास इज अ सोफोमोर और अ जूनियर? Obviously the probability of that person entering the class would be higher for sophomores, ठीक है, क्योंकि that class is primarily for sophomores, ठीक है। So making a decision would be relatively easier अगर कोई एक class dominate कर रही, ठीक है। So whether a class dominates or not, that is determined through calculating the entropy of a feature or a variable, ठीक है। सो फर्ज करें ये स्प्लिट मैंने एक वेरिएबल v के ऊपर लगाया, तो अब मैंने ये देखना है कि क्या ये स्प्लिट मैंने v के ऊपर लगाया, v इज अ वेरिएबल, ऐसे इस केस में द नंबर ऑफ फॉर्मूलाज, सो क्या इस स्प्लिट को लगाने से मैं मेरे सिस्टम में एंट्रोपी कम हो रही है या ज्यादा हो रही है, राइट। So what would be a favorable situation? A favorable situation would be that whenever I know a variable, the entropy in the system should increase or should reduce. G. The entropy should reduce. So if the entropy is reducing, that means that you are in an easier situation to determine the class, or it's easier for you to determine a class. So knowing a variable, it should become easier for you to determine a class. And the parameter that would determine that is the entropy parameter. So all the variables that you have got, you find out the entropy for all those variables. And once the entropy for all those variables is known, you choose the one that has got the lowest entropy. The lowest entropy, ठीक है। Lowest entropy का मतलब ये होगा कि that variable is very informative in nature, क्योंकि जैसे ही आपको वो वेरिएबल पता चलेगा, your disorder in the system reduces, ठीक है। Disorder in the system reduces, as a result you will be able to classify the problem or the data relatively easily, ठीक है। Okay, let's move on to the other slides again, the other set of slides again. Okay, so what is this step number 2 telling you? Step number 2 is telling you information gain is calculated from entropy, and I'll come to that point later on. Lekin first of all, let's just look at this entropy concept. So you have a set of variables. For every variable, you calculate the entropy, and you choose a variable that has got the lowest entropy. You calculate the variable with the lowest entropy, or you select a variable with the lowest entropy, or you select a variable with the highest information gain. So once you calculate the entropy, then you calculate the information gain from there, ठीक है। तो information gain, later I'll explain what this information gain is, लेकिन या तो इंट्रॉपी उस वेरिएबल से रिलेटेड इंट्रॉपी कम हो या उसकी इंफॉर्मेशन गेन ज्यादा हो, तो सबसे ज्यादा वेरिएबल, सबसे ज्यादा इंट्रॉपी, सबसे ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन गेन वाला वेरिएबल या सबसे कम इंट्रॉपी वाला वेरिएबल आपने सेलेक्ट करना, and that will become, and that will be at your root node, ठीक है। Okay, so you select the variable or attribute that has the smallest entropy or the largest information gain, and then you take out that variable from your S set. S set में से वो variable जो आपने पहले डिटर्मिन कर लिया है या जिसको आपने एक डिसीजन नोड के ऊपर रख दिया है, जिसको आपने पहले सेलेक्ट कर दिया है, you take it out of your S set, ठीक है, and you repeat the same process for the remaining variables. See, okay. And as a result, you will produce a subset or a subtree under that decision node. Okay, so I'll just tell you that how this algorithm actually works. So before that, the concept of the entropy should be very clear. So if you toss a coin, or coin को अगर आप toss करते हैं, so let's say if you get a head and if you get or if you get a tail, ठीक है, tossing a coin. तो अगर आपके पास हेड है या टेल है, दोनों केसेस के अंदर इफ इट कम्स आउट टू बी अ हेड, ठीक है, obviously the probability in this particular case, what would be the probability, क्या हेड आएगा या टेल आएगा? The probability is 0.5. and if someone asks you कि determine कि हेड आएगा या टेल आएगा, will it be an easier decision for you to tell? Obviously not. If the coin is a fair coin, ठीक है, अगर वो fair coin है तो the probability is 0.5. And that means कि determining whether a head would turn up or a tail would turn up is a very difficult decision for you. You can't make that decision. Therefore, this decision would have the highest entropy, which is 1. Right? So entropy, so if you know the outcome, then the entropy is 0. If you know the outcome, then the entropy is 0. If it is, let's say, a head, and here if it is a tail, if the outcome is known, then the entropy is 0. So let's say कि आपके पास एक coin है जिसके दोनों sides पे head है. So what would be the entropy in this case? 0. Because you are 100% sure कि outcome क्या होगा. Similarly, if you have got a coin that have got tails on both sides, then of course, in that case also, the entropy will be 0. But if you have a head or a tail, head and a tail on one side, and on the other side, you've got the other one. Those case के अंदर the entropy will be 1, because maximum uncertainty will be associated with in that case. So maximum uncertainty is associated when the probability of occurrence of an event is 0.5. And least probability and least entropy would occur when the probability is 0 or 1. अगर वो इवेंट हो ही नहीं सकता, उसकी probability 0 है, तो entropy भी 0 होगी. और अगर उसकी probability 1 है, you are absolutely sure कि यही इवेंट होना है, फिर भी entropy 0 होगी. And you can have a value in between also. ठीक है, a value in between. That means that the value of entropy could vary from 0 to 1. So as you move towards the probability 0.5, the entropy reaches 1. Okay. As you move towards the probability 0 or 1, the entropy reduces to 0. Right? So let's say 0.5 probability कब थी? If on a certain split you have got equal number of instances of both the classes. तो उस case में probability of occurrence of each class will be 0.5. So you will have the highest entropy there. लेकिन अगर किसी एक स्प्लिट के अंदर एक क्लास, जैसे मैंने पहले बताया, एक क्लास के 3-5 इंस्टेंसेस हैं, दूसरी क्लास के 2 इंस्टेंसेस हैं, so there is one class that is dominating, the probability is not 0.5. ठीक है, so therefore the probability is not 0.5. In that case the entropy will be less than 1. It would be somewhere in between 0 and 1. It will not be 1. Okay, one class, that one of the classes are dominating. How to calculate the entropy? Now that's the next question. How to calculate the entropy? Entropy calculation is done through I'll just explain that through this formula. ठीक है जी. So this is the formula. E stands for entropy here, and this is the formulation for that. ठीक है. So this is the summation over all possible splits that you can have on a variable. So you have a summation on all possible splits of that variable. And how do you calculate the entropy? That is using this formula. Minus Pi, which is the probability of a single outcome, times log to the base 2 of the same probability. Okay. And let me just explain you this. The variable is whether you want to play golf or not. और दो पॉसिबिलिटीज हो सकती हैं, या आप गोल्फ प्ले करेंगे या आप प्ले नहीं करेंगे. योर डेटा सेट कंटेन्स 9 इंस्टेंसेस जिसमें आप गोल्फ प्ले कर रहे हैं एंड 5 इंस्टेंसेस जिसमें आप गोल्फ प्ले नहीं कर रहे. सो व्हाट वुड माय डिसीजन ट्री वुड बी? प्लेइंग गोल्फ, one branch would be yes, the other branch would be no. ठीक है. Play golf, one branch is yes, the other branch is no. And there are 9 instances of playing. So यहाँ पे play के 9 instances हैं. ठीक है. Yes के 9 instances हैं और no के 5 instances हैं. Okay. So you've got 5 instances of no. ठीक है. So there are how many splits present on play golf? 2. C की वैल्यू क्या आ जाएगी? C की वैल्यू, स्मॉल c की वैल्यू जो है that is 2. So using this formula, I can calculate the entropy of this table, which I've got. The entropy that is associated with playing golf. The entropy associated with playing golf would be, if playing golf is yes, then that would be 9/14 आपके पास आता है for yes, or probability for not playing golf is 5/14. 5/14. ठीक है. सो C की वैल्यू 2 है. एक केस में C की वैल्यू yes होगी, दूसरे केस में C की वैल्यू no होगी. I can and here I can find out the entropy of playing golf 5 and 9, or entropy of 0.36, which is 5/14, compared to the probability of 0.64. And so this is Pi for no, this is Pi for yes. I put this in this formula and I can calculate the entropy, and that entropy comes out to be 0.94. This is close to 1. ठीक है. This is close to 1. This is not close to 0. Ideally, I should have entropy close to 0. और close to 0 कब होगी? When one class is highly dominating the other class. Let's say कि यहाँ पे ये, let me just give you another scenario. यहाँ पे ये value 2 होती और ये value 12 होती. So 2 और 12 के लिए अगर आप entropy निकालें तो you will find out कि ये value जो है that will become more closer to 0. This value will become 1 कब? This value will become 1. इस सूरत में this value will become 1. G. Any one of you? Momina, when will this value become 1? इस टेबल के अंदर मैं क्या चेंज करूंगा तो एंट्रोपी की वैल्यू 1 हो सकती है? अब्दुल्ला इजाज, ओके ओके, बोथ वैल्यूज आर इक्वल, बिल्कुल ठीक है. व्हेन बोथ वैल्यूज आर इक्वल, सो दैट मीन्स कि अगर टोटल इंस्टेंसेस 14 है, यस के इंस्टेंसेस 7 हो जाएं और नो के भी इंस्टेंसेस 7 हो जाएं, then this value for entropy, if you calculate that, you can calculate it yourself, will become 1. और जीरो कब होगी? जीरो उस वक्त होगी जब एक क्लास के 14 टोटल 14 इंस्टेंसेस है, यस के 14 इंस्टेंसेस हो जाएं और नो के 0 इंस्टेंसेस हो जाएं, या अदरवाइज, या दूसरी सूरत भी हो सकती है कि यस के 0 हो जाएं और नो के 14 इंस्टेंसेस हो जाएं. दैट मीन्स कि एक ही क्लास अगर इसमें बिलोंग करती है आपके पास, या आप गोल्फ हमेशा खेल रहे हैं या आप गोल्फ हमेशा नहीं खेल रहे, उस केस के अंदर योर एंट्रोपी विल ऑलवेज बी 0. और अगर आप 50% ऑफ द टाइम गोल्फ खेल रहे हैं और 50% ऑफ द टाइम गोल्फ नहीं खेल रहे, then the entropy will be 1. For any other combination, the entropy will be between 0 and 1. Say for 60% of the time आप golf खेल रहे हैं and 40% of the time आप golf नहीं खेल रहे, or vice versa, your entropy will be somewhere between 0 and 1. ठीक है? So the overall entropy that is present in this table, in this data, is 0.94. That means that it's very high value. Okay, is this clear? How can I reduce this entropy? Let's say I want to reduce this entropy, and that's the last thing that I'll basically ask, and then we'll end today's session. How can I reduce the entropy from 0.94? Is there a way of reducing this entropy? What do you think? Tanya?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So one simple way of reducing the entropy would be that you will require more information. Let's say if I give you some information on the weather, whether it's raining outside or whether it's sunny outside. So probability of playing golf जो है वो किस केस में ज़्यादा हो जाएगी?
सनी के केस में.
सनी के केस में ज़्यादा हो जाएगी. So if I give you an information about the weather, the disorder in the system or the decision would become relatively easier for you, isn't it? So I can say that if it is sunny outside, if it is sunny outside, then 10 out of 14 times you play golf and 4 out of 14 times you don't play golf. Yeah, even let's make it even more easier. 12 out of 14 times आप खेल रहे हैं और 2 दफा आप नहीं खेल रहे. अगर अब आप इसकी एंट्रोपी निकालें, just you can calculate it yourself, you will see that this value will reduce. This value will reduce now. Right? So knowing a variable will reduce the value. Knowing an attribute would reduce the value. Okay? So I can reduce this value of entropy if I know the value of some attributes. So this is what this idea, the base of ID3 algorithm is next time I'll go through this algorithm in detail, and we'll determine that how is this applied on a real data set. So the concept is that without knowing any attribute, you calculate the entropy, and then after knowing some attribute, you calculate the entropy, and you decide about that attribute, whether that attribute is useful or not. Agar after knowing that attribute, the entropy does not change, then that variable is not useful. But if the entropy reduces, then that variable is useful. The one that reduces the entropy the most is the most useful way. Okay, so that's the basic concept behind ID3 algorithm, and we'll discuss this in detail in our next class.